REA Group is one of the most profitable businesses on the ASX. But over the past year, the property market has been softer, listing volumes have fallen, and the share price has pulled back from its highs. So the big question is, can REA's pricing power keep beating the property cycle? In this video, we'll look at REA's 5-year earnings trend, its latest HY26 result, the moat behind the business, and the key risks investors should watch next.
Before we do though, quick disclaimer. Nothing in this video is financial advice. I'm not a licensed advisor. This is purely educational. Do your own research. Talk to a professional if you need to. All right, let's go.
REA Group has reported its first half 2026 result. Revenue came in at $916 million, up 5%. Net profit after tax was $341 million, up 9%. But the most important part is this. REA made more money per listing. Australian residential yield per listing grew 14%. In simple terms, that means REA earned more revenue from each property listing. At the same time, national listing volumes fell 6%. So this is the core REA story. Fewer listings, but higher pricing. And even in a softer property market, REA still grew profits. That is pricing power. So how does REA actually make money? The basic model is simple. Agents and property developers pay to list properties on REA's platforms, mainly realestate.com.au. Buyers and renters browse those listings for free. That creates a powerful loop. More listings attract more buyers. More buyers attract more agents, and more agents bring more listings. REA sits in the middle of that loop and charges the agents and developers. The business has 4 main revenue lines: Australian residential listings, commercial and new homes, financial services through Mortgage Choice, and India through housing.com. Australia is the main engine. India is the long-term option. You can think of REA as 3 main business pillars. First, Australian residential. This is the core business, built around realestate.com.au. It is Australia's #1 property portal, and agents pay subscription fees and per listing fees to use it. This is where REA's pricing power is clearest. Yield per listing rose 14%, even though listing volumes fell. Second, commercial and financial services. This includes realcommercial.com.au, new homes developer advertising, and Mortgage Choice. These are smaller than residential, but they add useful diversification. Third, India. Housing.com is REA's long-term bet on India's property market moving online. But this is still early stage. Revenue fell around 40% during the restructure, so this is high potential, but also high risk. Australian residential brought in $658 million for the half, up 7%. That is impressive because listing volumes fell 6%. The reason revenue still grew is that yield per listing rose 14%. So again, price increases more than offset weaker volumes. Commercial and new homes revenue was $121 million, up 10%. Financial services revenue was $58 million, up 11%. India was $38 million, down around 40%, mainly because of the restructure. There is also a small early-stage Canada and iGuide contribution of $6 million. For now, that is not the main story, but it is worth noting. These charts show the 5-year trend. On the left, revenue and underlying EBITDA have grown strongly from 2021 to 2025. Revenue has moved from about $900 million to about $1.67 billion, and EBITDA margins have stayed high, mostly around the 50 to 55% range. That tells us this is not just a growing business, it is also a very profitable one. On the right, you can see operating leverage. Revenue has grown faster than costs. That is what you want to see from a strong platform business. These 2 charts are about business quality. On the left, we have free cash flow conversion. This tells us how much of REA's reported profit turns into real cash. REA has consistently converted more than 90% of profit into cash, and in some years, more than 100%. That is a strong sign of earnings quality. On the right, we have earnings per share and return on invested capital. Earnings per share rose from 244 cents in 2021 to 437 cents in 2025. Return on invested capital reached 36% in 2025. In simple terms, REA earns a lot of profit from the capital it uses, That is why investors often treat it as a high-quality compounder.
So why can REA keep raising prices? There are three main reasons. First, network effects. Buyers go where the listings are. Sellers want to list where the buyers are. With 12.7 million monthly visitors, REA's audience is very hard to replicate. Second, data scale. REA has a large property data set, including buyer behavior, listing history, and price trends. That data supports premium products and better targeting. Third, switching costs. If an agent leaves REA, they may lose access to the largest pool of active property buyers in Australia. So the cost of leaving can feel higher than the cost of paying higher fees. But there is one important watch item: CoStar's acquisition of Domain. That gives Australia's property portal market a well-funded international challenger.
The big question is, how much growth runway does REA still have over time? In Australia, the slide shows around 520,000 residential listings per year, with average property values close to $1 million. REA's estimated yield per listing is still below comparable North American platforms. That is the pricing runway. In simple terms, REA may still have room to increase what it earns from each listing over time. Then there is India. India's property market is very large, and Housing.com gives REA exposure to a market that is still moving online. But this is not a quick win. The payoff is probably at least 3 to 5 years away, and execution risk is high. This chart shows how REA's revenue mix has changed over time. The key message is simple. Australia still does most of the heavy lifting. Australian revenue dominates the group and has grown consistently. India is smaller and has been reset through the restructure. Financial services is growing, but it is still a minority contributor. So for investors, the main thesis is still Australia first. India is optional upside. It is not yet the core earnings driver.
The balance sheet is strong. REA ended financial year 2025 with $358 million in net cash. Net leverage was negative 0.4 times EBITDA. In plain English, that means REA had more cash than debt. Management is also returning capital to shareholders. A $200 million on-market buyback was announced at the half-year result, and REA's dividends are 100% franked. For Australian investors, that franking can be valuable depending on personal tax circumstances.
Now let's talk about valuation. As at April 24, 2026, REA's share price was $176.27. That is down about 26% from the $237 level shown on the slide. So yes, the share price has come down. But REA is still not cheap. The current EV to EBITDA multiple is 25.4 times. Price to free cash flow is 43.4 times. And the trailing price to earnings ratio is about 40 times. Those are still premium multiples. The more balanced view is this: REA is cheaper than it was, but it is still priced as a high-quality growth business.
This chart shows how REA's valuation multiples have compressed over the last 5 years. Both EV to EBITDA and price to free cash flow are well below their recent peaks. That makes the stock more interesting than it was at higher prices. But the key question is still the same. Can REA keep growing earnings at a strong rate for the next 5 to 10 years? If the answer is yes, then 25 times EV to EBITDA may be reasonable for a business of this quality. If the answer is no, then the stock can still look expensive. So this is not a simple cheap stock story. It is a quality versus price question.
Now let's look at management and capital allocation. Owen Wilson has been CEO since 2018. News Corp remains the majority owner, with around 62% of the company. Management ownership is smaller, at around 0.5%, but there is still direct financial alignment. The dividend record has been strong. Total dividends per share increased from $1.14 in financial year 2021 to $2.48 in financial year 2025. From 2024 to 2025 alone, dividends rose 46%. And those dividends were fully franked. REA also announced a $200 million buyback, which signals confidence from management.
There are 3 risks I would watch closely. First,
Listing volume cyclicality. Listing volumes fell 6% in the half, and the company guided to a 1 to 3% decline for the full year. If listing volumes stay weak, REA needs pricing power to do more of the heavy lifting. Second, CoStar and domain. This is the new competitive risk. CoStar has a strong balance sheet and experience in property data and portals. We do not yet know how aggressively it will invest in Australia. Third, India execution risk. PropTiger has been divested, Housing Edge has been shut down, and Housing.com is rebuilding from a lower base. This may take years to prove out.
Here is the investment debate. The bull case is simple. REA keeps raising yield per listing faster than listing volumes fall. The moat stays strong, and the valuation has come back to more reasonable levels compared with recent peaks. The bear case is also clear. Listing volumes may stay soft. CoStar may change the competitive dynamics through domain, and India may keep taking time and capital without becoming a meaningful contributor. My read is this. REA still looks like a very high-quality business. The network effect is real, the cash generation is strong, and the Australian platform remains dominant. But the stock still requires confidence. At these multiples, investors need to believe the pricing power can continue.
Let's bring it together with the scorecard. Overall, REA scores 7.6 out of 10. Growth scores 7.5. Revenue is compounding, but listing volumes are a headwind. Quality scores 8. REA has strong cash conversion and high returns on capital. Moat scores 8.5. The network effect is wide and still very powerful. Market and runway scores 6.5. Australia still has pricing runway, but India is uncertain and years away. Balance sheet scores 9, supported by net cash, franked dividends, and the buyback. Valuation scores 5.5. Better than before, but still not cheap. Management scores 7. So the simple verdict is wide-moat compounder, valuation normalizing.
Here are the 3 things I would watch next. First, the financial year 2026 full-year result in August. The key question is whether yield per listing can stay above 10% growth if listing volumes remain soft. That is the real test of REA's pricing power. Second, CoStar's investment in domain. Watch for signs of heavier marketing, product investment, or a major rebrand. That would tell us whether CoStar is preparing to compete more aggressively. Third, India revenue recovery. After the restructure, Housing.com needs to show sequential improvement. If India is still declining, the long-term optionality case becomes harder to defend. So, that is REA Group, a high-quality ASX business with real pricing power, but still trading at a premium valuation. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, subscribe for more calm, practical ASX analysis. And remember, this video is for education only. Always do your own research.